Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to my garden here in Neath, South Wales. Well, we've had a beautiful day today. It's been really hot and warm, and I've just given the garden a thorough water and everything is growing really large. As you can see, look at the growth on all this. It's really coming well and I'm so pleased with the progress so far. Let's have a look around and see what's been going on in the garden. Well, I went out earlier today and I came back from the supermarket with these two lovely Alstroemerias. They were only $9.99 each. They were actually from Lidl's. I was quite surprised at the bargain price, as you normally pay a lot more for them in the garden centre. So let's get these open and have a look and see what sort of size these plants are. I bought Alstroemeria last year and I paid at least double this price for them at the local garden centre. I bought the Indian summer variety. These ones weren't really labelled with a specific name, so I don't really know what type they are, but I know that one is going to be red and one is going to be a lovely lilac colour. Once they were opened, they look quite a decent size for the price, but it doesn't take long for these to grow anyway. This is the Alstroemeria Indian Summer that I bought last year. As I said, I bought two plants, but sadly one of them didn't make it through the winter. It was about roughly the same size as the two that I bought in Lidl's when I purchased them last year. And now this plant is at least 3 to 4 foot tall. It's got lovely flowers on it and I love the colour on this Indian summer variety. They have a very tropical look to them and they really brighten up the garden. The plants inside the greenhouse are really doing well at the moment, and the tomatoes have really shot up in size. They're getting really big now and they're full of flowers, which means hopefully that I'll have a good crop of tomatoes this year. It's the first time that I've grown tomatoes, and as I don't even like them myself, but my family do, so I'll be giving them to them. The peppers have also shot up in size, and these are full of white flowers. I've never grown these before either, but I'm hoping that they'll give me lots of peppers this year. The Ricinus are still inside at the moment. I haven't planted them out, but I have got to make sure that I water them every evening, as they do dry out quite quickly in the heat inside the greenhouse. It's been getting to about 51 degrees in here lately, so I've got to be careful that they don't dry out too much. The pink china plant that I did put outside, I decided to bring it back in and repot it up. I thought that it'll give it a better chance with the heat inside the greenhouse for it to size up, and it has been putting on quite a bit of size lately. This was a tiny plug plant, but it's growing really large. The two Ioniums that I've got in the greenhouse are also growing really well, and the larger of the two is putting out new shoots. Look at these growing in here now. Aren't they absolutely beautiful? I've always wanted some of these plants, and it took me a while before I could get them because I didn't have a greenhouse before. The first little wildlife pond that I made out of this planter, so it wasn't wasted, as when I brought it up and put the proper pond down, I used this planter to put my strawberries in it. These have also got lots of flowers on. I've also got them in a terracotta pot outside the greenhouse, and as you can see, the strawberries are really coming well on this one. The lovely lilac coloured Alstroemeria I planted here on the corner of the garden. It gets full sun here, so it should do quite well. It's already in full bloom and I'm hoping that it'll size up quite a bit throughout the season. The red one, on the other hand, I did have to sort of take bits and pieces off that plant, as it was a little bit on the leggy side, so all the upright stems I kept, and hopefully these won't need staking and will grow up to be a nice strong plant. The 3 cannas that I planted last week are also growing well. We've had a bit of sunshine lately, and I'm hoping that the extra heat will give them lots of new growth. These ones grow quite tall apparently, up to about 150 centimetres. I've also dotted a few red geraniums throughout the garden. I normally keep these in pots, but I thought they'd help to fill up some spaces and add a nice bit of colour into the garden. The nice bright red also goes well with the red begonias. I've also got some begonias dotted around the new wildlife pond, and I've also lowered the water lily, as one of my followers did say that it needed to go lower into the pond. Aquatic plants are all new to me, so I don't really know much about them, but I'm hoping that I've done this right here and that it'll be okay in its new pond. I'm always happy to take any advice I can get, so please leave any comments for me. I'm hoping that it won't be long before we start to see some life here in this new pond, and lots of insects and wildlife will come to visit. Since I moved the rhododendron into the new shadier spot, it's looking much better. When it was getting a lot of morning sun, all the leaves were all sort of curled up and dry looking. But as you can see now, the leaves have really opened out and it looks much healthier. I have been watering it regularly, but I'm so happy now with the result. It looks much better than before. It was quite a job to move it, but I'm so happy now that I did. Look at the leaves now on this plant. They look much happier than they did before. Let's take a look now around the garden while the sun is shining. I've got lots of crocosmia planted throughout the garden. I put these in last year as bulbs, and they've rewarded me with lovely bright flowers. They haven't come out yet this year though. This is my new Acer that I planted in a terracotta pot. I love the leaves on this. The Persicaria throughout the garden are growing really tall, and they're so easy to dig up and split and make more plants for the garden. The Salvia hot lips is now starting to come into life. It's lovely to see all the different colours at this time of year in the garden, and now in June the heat is really starting to come through with the sunshine. I love spending my time out in the garden. If you followed my channel for a while, you'll remember that back in January I decided to take away the lawn in this area of the garden, and I made a new planting bed with a pathway all around it. Well, I'm loving the new result, and all the plants are really starting to size up now throughout the garden. The garden now looks more pulled together, and now it's much easier to look after as there's no mowing to do. All I need to do is weed and water. The Musa Baju hardy bananas are now 2 years old, and last year was the first year that I overwintered them. They came through really well, and now they've retained their height. Look at the size now on this eucalyptus gunny. I bought this last year. It was tiny and only about 5 inches tall. Now it's close on 6 foot. I love the colour of the leaves on this with a lovely pinky hue. I know it's going to grow really large, so I've planted this at the very bottom of the garden where it's free to grow to its full size. The low sun in the early evening really shows the plants off at their best. And they all seem to be glowing in the sunshine. It was a beautiful day today, and the temperatures in the garden reached up to 28 degrees. When I came home from work, I gave the garden its first proper watering with a hose pipe. And all the plants really appreciated a good drenching. The soil was so dry. The leaves on this tetrapanax have really grown large. This is 2 years old now, and last year was only a small plant, so I'm so pleased with the amount of growth that it seems to have put on this year so far. And yes, I have moved the cannas from their original spot. The plan was that where they were, there wouldn't be much interest there and just bare earth really in the winter time. So I planted some more evergreen plants here and I dotted the cannas throughout the garden. The old Belfast sink that I have as a herb planter has really put on lots of growth. This is full of 6 different types of herbs, including chocolate mint, ordinary mint, and lots of parsley. I think I'll have to trim this back a little soon though, as it really is getting a little overgrown. It's lovely to come out of the back door and just help yourself to some herbs. I've always dreamt of being able to walk through my garden rather than looking down on the plants, and this year is the first year that this has become a reality. I started planting more tropical style plants about 3 years ago, and it's taken this long really for the garden to mature and put on some size. And I love being able to walk through the palm trees, and it really is a dream come true. I'm also loving the new wildlife pond, and I rush out here every night after work to see if there's any life, but we haven't had anything yet. One of my cats though seems to think it's a new water bowl. The sky is lovely and blue tonight, and it makes such a change from the usual grey drab weather that we have in Wales. This morning I thought it's about time that I planted out the Ricinus plants. I've got 5 of these and I wanted to dot them around throughout the garden. I grew these from seeds from Grow Paradise website. Firstly, let's find a suitable spot to put them. These are going to take up quite a bit of space, but they're only annuals, so I'll be taking them up at the end of the season. Be careful not to touch the plant as they are poisonous, and make sure that you wash your hands thoroughly after being near them. I then placed a bamboo cane near each one so that when they grow they've got some kind of support. And as they grow taller, I will start tying them onto this support. I also planted out the pink china plant today in the island bed. This gets plenty of sun here, although they do get a little bit of partial shade from the garage, and they are planted near a palm tree, so they should do quite well here. So I hope you've all enjoyed having a look around my garden today and seeing what I've been up to at the end of June. So until next time, look after yourselves everybody, and why not subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now. I've been out today and picked up in Lidl's some bargain Alstroemeria. These were only $1.99. Oh, no they weren't.